Hello, it's Linda and welcome to my tutorial. Today I will show you how to make waterfall with flowers in a suspended cup above a saucer. So this is the finished product and I glued it onto a base just to give it a bit more grounding. It does tend to get a bit wobbly because of the cup weight. I've done this by using hot glue. I know I've seen a few people on the internet, they don't recommend using hot glue, but I haven't had any problem with this. If you are careful enough and if you take your time to leave it to set, then it's absolutely fine. I've done this one a couple of months ago and as you can see it's still holding up. Alternatively, you can always use something like Gorilla Glue and just leave it to set for 2 hours at least, ideally overnight of course, but 2 hours should be enough. So it's an alternative to the hot glue and it works just as well. I will show you both ways today how to make these. So you can start by getting any cheap teacup and saucer. These ones are from Range, about a couple of pounds for a pair of them. Or you can get a fancy one if you want to. Ideally, charity shops are really good for getting reasonably priced teacups and saucers. I quite like the plain look because then the flowers stand out a bit more. So yeah, I've gone for white. What you will need next is a fork. So this is basically what holds the teacup in the air. Ideally, the cheaper fork the better, because then it's easier to bend. So you just bend the bottom bit so it rests flat on your saucer, like that. And then you will glue the bottom bit, and then the top bit goes there. I've seen a few people bending the top part as well, so they bend it like that, and what it does, it just changes the angle, the way the teacup goes. So mine would go this way, but if you bend it a bit further, the angle would change slightly. So again, you would have to put more flowers on the inside to fill the space up, but I do prefer it this way, to be fair. So once you get your fork, you can then glue the fork inside the cup. So I'll be using my Bosch glue gun. This was about £30 and it's absolutely fine. It doesn't drip as much as the cheap ones. You can get cheap glue guns for about £3 I've seen in Hobbycraft, but they drip quite a lot and it takes a while to actually get the glue out, so you keep squeezing the handle but not much glue is coming out. So I would recommend investing in a proper glue gun, and then you can get refills on Amazon or on eBay for just a few pounds. So while my glue gun is heating up, I'll show you how you glue the fork with the Gorilla Glue. Now Gorilla Glue needs water to react with, so you will need to add some water onto your fork, which I'm gonna do now. So I added a bit of water just there, and now I'm gonna put some glue inside my cup. Now you don't need to put too much, as the glue is gonna expand. Now they do recommend that you clamp the glued area for at least an hour or two. Now this one is quite tricky. I do actually have a clamp here, but I can't use it because the angle is just not right. I could try just to squeeze it on, but it's not going to hold properly. So what I'm going to do, I'll probably have a bit more glue later. could use a tape just to stick those two together. Just give it a bit more hold, like that. As you see, I'm quite struggling to do this with two hands. And I've seen people basically resting it on the loaf of bread, and then what you could use is some heavy object to weigh it down. So what I'm using is just ordinary baking beans in a sock, and I just weigh it all down. Made it like that for a couple of hours. Just make sure it's all pressed down. So we'll come to that a bit later, and I'll show you how to glue the cup and a fork using hot glue as well. Right, I think my glue gun is hot enough. So what I'm gonna do, I'm using just flannel to hold the cup. Because obviously once you put the glue in, the outside is gonna get really hot as well. So you really want to protect your hands. Ideally you could use gloves as well. Just to take gardening gloves should be enough. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna squeeze a generous amount of glue inside my cup. Don't worry if it looks too much. You will cover it with flowers later, so it doesn't really matter. I would say more the better. And then I'm gonna press the fork down really hard so that it joins well with the glue. And then I'm gonna add more glue on the top. I'm literally just covering the whole area. The huge amount of hot glue. Now this one is a bit impractical in a sense that you'll have to nurse the cup in your hand for quite a few minutes just to make sure no air gets between the fork and the glue. So you just need to use constant pressure just to make sure the fork doesn't wriggle. And you know that you can let go once the clear blue turns sort of cloudy white. You can always check with your finger as well so it starts to cool down, but I wouldn't risk getting burned until it actually changes color to cloudy white. Then it starts to set, and the longer you leave it the better. So for the initial stage I would say about 5 minutes when it starts cooling down, and then I would leave it to rest on the flannel on a flat surface for at least another half an hour, I would say, or even longer, and then it will make sure that the bond is really strong. So I will keep nursing the mug and pause the video, and once that's done I'll come back to you. So I've waited a few minutes, probably about 6 or 7, and as you can see it's starting to turn cloudy white. Safe to touch as well. So at this point you can take the pressure off the fork, as you've been pressing down for the bond to get strong. Now you can take the pressure off and just let the cup rest on the flat surface or even in your hand, and you can watch telly or do whatever. And I would leave it for another half an hour until it properly turns white. Cup rest for about 45 minutes, and as you can see it turned cloudy white, so that should be strong enough to carry on with the process. So all we're gonna need to do now is glue the bottom bit of the fork to your saucer, and again we'll be using hot glue. So just going to make sure the saucer is wiped clean. Just make sure there's no dust or anything. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to use the flannel again. Just get my glue gun again. It's amazing how quickly you get through the refills. Put the glue down when doing this. So again, the more glue the better. I'm basically going to dip the fork in, make sure it's flat. Run out of glue again. So just keep pressing down while you're covering the fork with more glue. Now, if you wanted to, you could use finger protectors just to make sure your thumb isn't burning, because I want to hold it close to the base. And I'm just going to make sure it's flat, so I'll press it down with one of these glue dispensers. You can get them from Hobbycraft, really cheap. So, and as with the cup, I'll just keep pressing the fork down just to make sure it sets. Can even do this as well. Again, you probably want at least 5 minutes initially just for the glue to set. Make sure it's covered. And then once it's set a little bit, you could add more glue to the back and all around this bit as well. Right, so now my teacup and saucer rested for at least an hour, and as you can see, the glue turned from clear to cloudy white, which means that it's cold to touch, and you should be alright starting to decorate, which is the most fun bit. So I'll start from the bottom and then go to the top and then meet in the middle. Now, if you would like, you could wrap the fork in the green ribbon just to make sure that if you leave a gap after you put the flowers on, that no one will see that it's the actual fork. I didn't bother with that in my original arrangement, and as you can see, you're able to see the fork at the back, which I don't really mind because it's standing against the wall, so no one is really going to see the back. But if you would like, you can wrap it with the green ribbon and it just looks more natural, so you don't really see the metal bit. So first of all, I'm going to glue a large leaf just to cover the fork, and I got little pliers that I got from Homebase. They're a really nice size and then fit in the hand really nice. So I'll trim all the flowers with these, and again I'll be using hot glue. So I'll just put a little bit of hot glue in the area, and just be careful when you're sticking these down because the area is really hot. So I usually use just the glue applicator to stick it all down, because it's very easy to burn your fingers like this. And then what I'll do next is just basically covering the area so you can't see the glue. So again, just put a bit more hot glue. And stick it down like that. So most of my flowers are from the range, where they have really nice assortment of artificial flowers. I really like their roses because they're really nice, and they come in bunch of 7 for about £5. So I'm slowly going to build the arrangement, just starting with greens and foliage, like a few bits here, so I'll just trim them to whatever size I want. Just maybe add it here. Again, just being careful not to press it with my finger. Okay, so now I'm going to add the flowers. I'll go there. This is a really nice decoration for wedding, so you could use it as on the tables. I think it would look really nice. Just basically seeing what goes nicely there. Got another one. I think I'll go for the red one. Just sticking it down again. You can see a bit of leaf here, so just stick it down. And then it looks like it needs something small down the bottom. Bit of glue, and then I can move on to the top. It's quite easy to take them off if you change your mind and come up with something nicer. Because my teacup is quite small, I only really need one flower just to fill the whole space up. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put some leaves in first. Just to give it that more natural look. So one there, one there. Bit of glue here. Stick it in. And then the arrangement is nearly finished. I think I'm gonna go for a rosebud, so you can technically carefully remove the bottom, the outer petals, just to create a little rosebud. I'll put that there. Press it down a bit. As you can see, it's a bit wobbly on the flannel, so what you could do is get like a dessert plate. Could be decorated or could be just a plain one, and glue it onto that. So it gives you a solid base, so that the weight of the cup doesn't make it tilt. What I used here is like a decorative board, which I got from the range as well, really cheap actually. It was only about £3, so that works as my base. And now I'm just gonna cover this middle bit, maybe add a few bits down there as well. added a few more bits. I added a few rose buds and a bit more greenery, and that's my flower arrangement finished. You can make this really seasonal for Christmas or Easter by adding, say, Easter eggs or adding some baubles, and just use pine cones instead of roses. So there are ways how to make this for special seasons. As you can see, I could have decorated at the back as well. So what you could do is just add more leaves just to cover the back a bit. But I'm pretty happy with this, and as I say, it's going to be against the wall, so no one is going to really see the back. So altogether it took me about a couple of hours to finish this, including the setting time, because you really want to leave it to set as long as you possibly could. So I would say ideally at least half an hour for the top bit and then half an hour for the bottom bit. And that's all finished. Let's have a look at what our other cup is doing. So as you can see, the glue has expanded. So if I peel this off, this has been resting now for about an hour. So ideally you want to leave it a bit longer. And again, you could go back and just put a bit more glue on the top, which is what I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna put more glue on. Actually, just put some water on, just to make sure it reacts with the glue. And I would leave it to set a couple of hours. But I do much prefer the hot glue method because it's quicker and it's easier to teach in the classes as well because of the setting time. It doesn't take as long as the Gorilla Glue. So there you go. That's your 2 pieces of decoration done.